Welcome to the 4 Point Play. I'm Samy, a French guy living in Australia, and on the line we have Alberto, Italian living in the Philippines. We are two mates who met in Melbourne, and every week we discuss three
and one
NBA topics. Alberto, it's great to have you online again. I'm excited to be hosting the podcast today. I've got a few little surprises cooked in for you.
Nice.
You're not going to be able to eat them, though. I know you haven't had dinner yet, but just to start things as usual, how was your week and how was your NBA week?
My NBA week was great, man. I've been enjoying a lot of games, and like every single week, I'm excited for this podcast. I've been happier and happier to just leave the unsynchronized conversation on WhatsApp and just get a 1 hour conversation with you every single week. So I'm excited.
Cool. Well, certainly, had a good week as well. We are, I guess, a quarter in the season, and it's great to finally kind of get the season started. We everybody's over the early jitters, and I guess now everything we say is for real. It's like there's no more, I guess, hesitation of, well, this is the beginning of the season, and they're going to adjust. Whatever the teams have done now, it is what they are. Too late now. You can't change. So the Clippers are the best team in the West, or in the whole NBA.
In Europe as well.
Yeah, all of that. Anyway, that brings me to my first topic that I wanted to discuss with you. And well, I guess for this one, I kind of have a little thing cooked up for you as well. It's kind of a new section that I'm trying. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but it's called the Eat My Words section, and it's
Eat My Words.
Eat My Words.
Okay.
So every week we talk NBA, and sometimes we say good things, and sometimes we just say shit. Let's be honest. So I'm going to play a quick recording of, I guess, a clip of a podcast that we recorded. The first podcast we actually recorded 4 or 5 weeks ago.
That's dangerous.
Listen to this, and then we can talk about it.
All right. that is not me, huh?
That's
your voice.
Eating your words.
I've been a Kings fan since I was 5.
You're gonna have to tell me if you're gonna eat your words or not. But basically, you said 4 weeks ago the Kings are not for real when I asked you the question, and so I'm asking you the question again, and that's our first topic. Are the Kings for real? They are now sitting, I guess, firmly in the 8th seed in the West, with a 500 record, 10-10. They're great to watch. They have they have the fastest pace in the NBA, which is usually doesn't necessarily get you to championships, but certainly means that you might be in contention. So I'm asking you the same question again, man. Are the Kings for real?
And I'm gonna give you the same answer. Actually, a bit of a different answer, because I think that Kings. So I would actually revert the question as in, what do you mean when you ask me, are the Kings for real? Like, are the Kings gonna make the playoffs, or are the Kings gonna have a good season? Because they had a good season a decent season. Sorry, let me rephrase it. For the last 2 years, they're definitely developing. I wasn't expecting Bielitsa to play such a great season. And honestly, I thought they were gonna be affected by Bogdanovic not playing. But I guess the Kings are for real, and you know what? They're fun to watch. They are for real, but they're not gonna make the playoffs, unfortunately, in my point of view, unless there are unless a couple of teams in the Western Conference get affected by injuries. But you know what? They're fun to watch. They beat OKC twice. They almost beat Golden State.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch, like you said, fast-paced. Shumpert, it seems like he's born again in Sacramento. They had a coach that I was actually a bit disappointed in his first 2 seasons in Sacramento, because he did really, really well in Memphis. And the Aaron Fox is amazing, and Marvin Bagley is actually playing decently now. I think he had 2 double-doubles. The Kings are going to be for real next year. Like, the Kings next year, they need to go for the 6th to 8th seed in the Western Conference. This year, I think they're still missing something. Honestly, their bench is quite deep. That's why I think they can go to 37 to 41 wins, and we can play this one at the end of April. But I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. The West is just too wild, and they're a little bit too inexperienced to win those games that are gonna make a difference between a 7th, 8th seed and the 10th to 12th seed. But honestly, surprised. Everyone was talking shit about Vlade Divac. Hey, he's made quite a few good trades, and number 24, Buddy Hield, is playing amazing. So
yeah, here's my take on it. They're currently sitting at 500 with losing the last 2 games. When I say are the Kings for real, I guess what I mean is, are they going to be in contention for the playoffs? And I think they will be. With the West currently how it is, and with so little difference between the top team and basically the bottom team almost. If you exclude Phoenix, everyone else is in contention. That the second to last team currently is Utah. Don't tell me that no one was planning on Utah being 14 in the West. Everyone thought that they were going to be in contention, and realistically, I think everyone can contend, and it's just going to be a matter of winning a few more games than the next team. And I would, if I had to bet on it, I would also say that they're not making the playoffs, but I'm much more comfortable now saying that they are certainly going to be contending, and I think competing, at least for the next couple of months. If they go on a losing streak and suddenly realize, well, I don't know, things are not clicking anymore, then yeah, they might change the course. But so far, so good. And what has particularly impressed me in the last few games that I've watched from them is how they have the fastest pace in the NBA, but they actually do not commit that many turnovers. And for a young team, that's quite impressive, which is one of the things which makes me say that they are quite, I guess, they can be a contender or, a playoff team, or very close to being a playoff team.
You're very right, but I also believe that the 5th or 6th to 8th team this year is not going to be the best team in the Western Conference. Is going to be the most consistent.
Yeah.
Because of how wide the West is, if you lose against, I don't know, if you go to Chicago and it's a back-to-back and you lose, those losses are gonna count a lot. If you go to like Chicago, like New York and whatnot, you need to be consistent. And the most consistent teams in between the 6th and 10th seed, that's gonna decide the ranking of the playoffs and the teams that are gonna be out. Not the strongest team, because Sacramento is not as strong as Utah. Sacramento is not as strong, not even as Dallas, in my point of view.
But don't you think they can be as consistent?
Yes, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm saying they're not as good. Consistency is different, and consistency usually comes from a really good coach, from a really good culture. And you know what? Sacramento's building it. Dallas is building it. Utah has been building it. The West is gonna be wild, man. I think we are up for an amazing second half of the year, even if we're only of the season. Sorry, even if we're only up to 25% of the season. But the West is gonna be insane. That's why the Lakers, losing to Orlando twice, that's gonna count a lot.
But winning all of their other games and being a good team in the West. Really, to me, it's very open, and I think anyone can make it. And it wouldn't. Okay, it's too early to say, but it wouldn't shock me as much as it would have shocked me 2 months ago or 3 months ago to see the Kings in the playoffs. who knows? Again, I might eat my words in 3 months. We'll see, and we'll revisit.
You know
that,
what, man? Like I
later.
said, injuries change everything.
Absolutely.
Injury.
Absolutely.
Like I was watching Memphis playing Toronto tonight.
Yeah.
This morning, and I think in the last 2 minutes, like Marc Gasol, he just twisted his ankle, and I was thinking, man, what's gonna happen to Memphis? Is Marc Gasol or Conley? They get injured, and the same for every single team in the West. You know, it's gonna change their season.
Of course.
But man, sorry to interrupt you. Let's get to the second topic.
Sorry about that. That's fine. You're right, and I think we've mentioned that before about the injuries, but up until it happens, and it can happen to anyone at any time, anywhere, you have to assume that everybody's healthy, or they are in the state that they are. You know, Houston has been without Chris Paul for the last couple of games, and Sam, they've been struggling, and they also lost 2-3 in a row, actually, despite Harden going for 50. But anyway, I guess we can. It's actually a good transition, or as good transition as any, to talk about someone who has been injured a lot and who, to me, is currently, I guess, the kind of good news story of the season so far, which is the resurgence of Derrick Rose. I wanted to talk a little bit about the MVP being back
in 2011.
And playing like there's no tomorrow, and finally enjoying basketball, it seems. I don't know if it's the reunion with Tibbs. I don't know if it's because Butler is gone, or if it's because he has new hair. But his numbers are pretty incredible, and he's certainly not necessarily back to 2011, but at a level where he hasn't been for a few years. But what most impressed me watching him play is that he makes the right decisions, and he plays with intelligence. He's smart. It's not just the crazy D-Rose that we had in 2011, just driving to the baskets for these crazy shots again. He's a little bit more measured, and he feels that, again, I guess the D-Rose resurgence is real. I wanted to have your opinion on D-Rose comeback. If it's also for you a good news story, or if you don't really care about the guy, and what do you think? What do you think about it?
Oh man, how can you not be happy for someone like D-Rose? You know, he played really well in Chicago. Everyone thought that was gonna get Chicago back to the Michael Jordan times, but unfortunately, because of injuries, he wasn't. And you know what? To me, whenever you're passionate about the game, whenever you do everything, not for the money, but to get back to that field, to that court, and play 5-on-5, you have my basketball respect. And so that's what, you know, that's why I respect Derrick Rose regardless of everything. Everyone was talking shit about him last year, and probably I was too. But I always picked him in the fantasy basketballs. He deserves it. He deserves it. I think that seeing him playing, he's definitely not as explosive as he was back in 2011, but we're talking about 7 years ago. But you know what? He's physically is better, much better than last year. He's more fit. He's more explosive than last year. Last year, it felt like a ongoing practice for him. You could see that his pace was like 70-75% of, you know, compared to his opponents or his teammates. Again, like, you also need to understand that Minnesota really needs a second star, because Wiggins is a disaster this year. And you know what? Derrick Rose, D-Rose, he saw the opportunity. He also said he's trying to be more vocal in the locker room, because he's been accused, you know, back in Chicago, not to be a leader. I think he's just enjoying, you know, it's been a couple of difficult years for him with the injuries, and then I think there were allegations of raping. I think he was alleged to rape like this girl. I don't know what happened, but it's been a couple of difficult years, and he's been a very emotional guy. I remember he went to China. He got this massive standing ovation by the Chinese fans, who would applaud even me just because I'm 6'4". And you know, he loves basketball, and for that, he's got my respect.
Yeah, I think he's been through so much, you know, physically and mentally over the season that it's great to see that he's a story again, and he's an impactful player, someone who is making a difference on the court. Even though he is playing, whatever we saying about Wiggins, he's playing with talented other guys. It's not like he's, I don't know, the only dude in the team who can play basketball. He's playing with Towns. He's playing next to Tig. He's learned to play off the ball as well, a fair bit, which I like. So very, very happy about it. And yeah, I guess I'm sure this is going to make the news if he continues to play like that, and someone would write a good story about him. But definitely very, very happy for D Rose. And yeah, I wanted to talk about it. So that's good. Having said that, I guess Minnesota is, yeah, well, what they are. They're probably, to me, one of the teams which is not going to make the playoffs in the West. You know, if I have to start culling and removing some teams because Sacramento is going to get in, I'm removing Minnesota definitely. Unfortunately, so a good story, but yeah, it may be. Well, I don't know how many more years D Rose is going to play. I hope as many as possible, but I don't think he will make the playoffs with Mini.
All right,
we'll see. Cool. Well, it's already time to, as you said last week, I like this. Shoot my third topic.
Oh.
My shot was bad. Let me do that again. Thank you. That was a swish. And we're going to the East a little bit and talk about a team that, well, not many people talk about, but we may talk about them very soon because they're possibly going to improve really quickly. Before you laugh, the Chicago Bulls are due to welcome back in their team Bobby Portis around mid-December, Chris Dunn as their starting point guard early December, and most importantly, Lauri Markkanen, who has been practicing and I think is probably just a few games away before coming back. Do you think, well, how different do you think the Bulls will be with the return of Markkanen, Dunn, and Portis? And I guess when they're going to be at full speed?
They're going to be all right. They're going to be all right. There's a lot of talent in that team. There's a decent coach, but it's gonna take time for them to for this talent to gel all together. And you know, if they start maybe next year, they're gonna have a good season like Sacramento this year. But it's all about consistency, man. Like when you are in a bad spot by December or January, it's not that you don't care anymore, but not 100% of the team, and by team I mean the coaches, the assistants, the players, they don't believe. And if only 80% of the franchise believes in something, then you're gonna lose some games. And I believe that Chicago is going to be good next year. I believe that they're gonna have to develop. Their talent this year, and I think that actually they might be trading Bobby Portis later this year or actually next year during free agency. Why? Because they have Zach LaVine, because they have Markkanen that they need to develop. He's been really, really good this year. They gave Jabari Parker a big contract. They have Wendell Carter.
Yeah.
And you know what? Bobby Portis is that kind of player that can get 20 every night. But you know what? Zach LaVine can do that. Markkanen can do it. Jabari Parker can do it. Eventually next year, Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be able to do it. So you get to a point where Bobby Portis is no longer necessary and indispensable in the team. Is actually something they don't really need because. Yeah. As far as I remember, he was drafted in 2015. So I think this is his fourth year, if I'm not mistaken. So next year they will have. Is he a free agent? I can't remember.
I can't tell you that right now.
Okay, but you know what? Chicago is going to be good. They're gonna win a few more games. More games that they've been fighting, because even last night or 2 days ago they did fight until the last shot. We against San Antonio, and Archidiacono played a really good game, but it's one of those teams like Orlando last year, like Orlando. So Bobby Partisar is going to be a restricted free agent.
Okay.
They will probably let him go. They would probably let him go because he's gonna ask for 10 to 15 million a year.
If not more, really. He might ask for more even.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's only 23.
Yeah.
So,
but he's certainly someone that they can get rid of later on, or get good asset back for him. Especially because of the front court, they're going to be quite loaded now. And with Markkanen is a starting power forward, I think, or a small forward. And yeah, if you put him next to Wendell Carter, I think you have a good front court that you can play around with. Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine would be the two other starters, and possibly Jabari. Even though he doesn't play defense, as per his own words, certainly. So yeah, look, I'm interested to see what the Bulls can do as well this year. Markkanen was very promising last year in his rookie season. Is he going to be one of these rookies that take a step up, a la De'Aaron Fox, or is he going to be one of these rookies who kind of plateaus and doesn't, move the needle much more than last year? To me, he showed talent and promising capability to develop. So I'm looking forward to his play, and I'm certainly looking forward to what they can do, and possibly if they can win a couple of these close games against the Spurs, against Miami, whatever, it might just be that might just be enough to boost their confidence a little bit, and they will still. They are highly unlikely to make the playoffs. I don't think they will make the playoffs. But at least you can have a solid foundation where you can say, okay, this is our identity. This is who we are. This is how we're building, and it's just a matter of time. And # trust the process.
Yeah, man, you gotta build the culture, and you know why? Because if I have a look at the standings, Chicago is 516.
Yeah.
Atlanta is 516.
Yeah.
Cleveland is 415, and Phoenix is 416. You know what teams are going to do in about 30 to 60 days? They're gonna start tanking.
Yeah.
And you don't want to win. You don't want to win because you have RJ Barrett and you have Zion Williamson coming in next year as top 2. So not only you get a really good number 1 that could potentially be a franchise player. Not many are talking about Barrett. Barrett is Canadian, is really good. So you get 2 chances for a really good player, potentially a franchise player. What are you gonna do? Do you really care about Bobby Portis? He's a restricted free agent. Yes, but you need to keep on. You need to do what Dallas did last year. I think there were like 15 games where they lost by 1 to 5 points. That was amazing, an amazing tanking technique by Rick Carlisle. And you know what? They got the 3rd or the 5th pick, and they got the best player in the world, Luka Doncic.
I was listening to another one of our competitors today, and Bill Simmons on his
direct
podcast.
Competitor.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, we're very close to what he's doing, especially with our growing listener fan base. But he's so in love with Doncic. Like, he thinks he's going to be the next Michael Jordan almost, or Larry Bird or whatever. And it's fun to listen to. I think a lot of people, like NBA people, are excited about Doncic, and you wonder why he wasn't picked at number 1. And who knows where, what we're going to discuss in 10 years or 12 years about that kid. I'm excited. I'm so excited about him. Today, Phoenix Suns released a stat saying, "Hey, DeAndre Ayton, like fastest rookie to 300 points and 200 rebounds since, the only other players to do that were Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, and whatever." And like one of the guys who retweeted it was saying, well, Luka Doncic already has like 350 points or something like that. So basically, like, the kid, he's like, he doesn't even need to score to have an impact on the game. I mean, again, we're talking about Doncic, and I think we should rename our podcast the Doncic podcast. But yeah, he's just so great. I'm really happy for him.
I think we should soon. We're gonna start talking about what's gonna happen to Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah.
Because he's either gonna change his game or he's gonna bench, or they're gonna trade him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what will happen with him. It's
gonna be interesting.
Give them the season. It's early, and I mean, it's early in his career. They have a few years to try and figure out what he is and how he's going to play. But I mean, Doncic is not LeBron, but he's LeBron-like or Ben Simmons-like, and you can have, point forwards, the new position, big guys playing point guards next to an actual point guard, and this can work as well. So we'll see. Kyrie Irving and LeBron James, I wouldn't have bet on this being a good association, and yet it worked. So it depends on how they adjust and how they play off each other. Okay, cool. Well, I was fouled on my third point, so I've got a 4-point play, and it's up to you, man. What are you gonna shoot at me?
Man. I'm gonna shoot something that I wasn't expecting this year, and that's the 9-12 Utah Jazz. Not only they have had a poor start. Also, Donovan Mitchell had a poor start. He hasn't played all games because he's been injured a little bit. They lost by 50, if I'm not mistaken, by Dallas, something like that. And they lost by 33 last night to Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, last year no one cared about Utah. And, they went on a crazy streak by the second half of the season. I think they were close to get some point they were actually the third seed. They ended up with the 5th, if I'm not wrong. And they beat OKC. Donovan Mitchell looked amazing. Their offense looked amazing. Ricky Rubio looked like in John Stockton playing great. Cousins and Gobert, they look like, Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson, or Robinson and Tim Duncan. Everyone is excited because, hey, they got a really good rookie, and they have like 1 year of experience. They played in the playoffs. They almost beat OKC, and they won in Houston. And
it was a good series.
It's 9-12, and it's not just the losses.
With a lot of blowout losses.
This seems like they're not following. They're not following their coach. So my question for you is: are they going to the Western Conference semifinals or not?
Okay. I'm gonna put it into perspective compared to last year, when they also had a very poor start, and I think it was December or January, and I remember this because, the Frenchman Rudy Gobert said, basically everyone said, well, they're not going to make the playoffs, it's too late, and Gobert said, watch us, we'll make the playoffs, and they ended up making the playoffs. They had a difficult start, but then they got better. they played above their expectations last year. So no one was expecting them to that level, and they over-delivered. This year, everyone is ready for them. Everyone, the scouts have done their due diligence on Donovan Mitchell. They know how he plays. Rubio is what it is. Gobert hasn't had the impact that I think everyone was expecting him to have. I don't know. He's playing well, but he's not as impactful as he could have been before. I don't know if it's a slow start. They've just made a couple of changes to their starting lineup, switching Derrick Favor for Jay Crowder. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent move. Snyder has said it depends on the matchups, but I think that's a softer way to say, well, we're progressively possibly going to move towards that. The combo, Favors Gobert has been discussed so many times. Sometimes they try to make it work, and sometimes it doesn't work. And I think if the losses keep piling up, they have to say, okay, well, what are we doing? Either he starts off from the bench,
who would you
or
trade?
they're looking at trading.
Who would you trade if you had to trade someone?
I would trade. Within the Jazz, I think I would trade Favors. Definitely, I think he's there.
And who's gonna get Favors?
Well, I think there's a market for it somewhere, some team. What I would try to get back though is a stretch four. Someone. You're not going to get Mirotic, but someone like that, someone who can play, who can stretch the floor and play outside a little bit to clear the pain for Mitchell and Rubio and Gobert when they're in it. Or you just stagger the minutes, so you just don't play Favors and Gobert at the same time, unless you're going against other bigs. But I think they have to. I don't know. I'm not hitting the panic button on the Jazz, but I've been very surprised by their blowout losses. Losing by 50 to Dallas is just not only that, but they only scored like 68 points. Like some teams score 68 points in the first half. Like what the hell? Like it's just I don't know. I can't really explain it. Western Conference semifinals, you said?
Yeah.
I'm saying no.
No.
I'm saying no.
Okay, man. And let me ask another question. They scored 68 points, right?
Yeah.
Do you, by any chance, remember the lowest scoring game of the Utah Jazz?
No. Why would I?
I don't know. I think they lost 98-54 in game 5 of the NBA Finals when Jordan when they won like the 5th or the 6th ring.
Okay.
I remember that that game very well. Oh no, I can't remember. It was probably game 2. But yeah, I mean, that sometimes I like to have a look at.
Yeah, please go ahead. I was going to do it, but go have a look. I don't remember that. I cannot remember it.
96-54.
I can't say for sure. How do you know it was the lowest point ever?
Oh, because I was a massive basketball fan. I was. How old was I?
You still are.
Yeah, I was 16. I was 15, man. I remember I was waking up at 2 a.m. in Italy watching basketball. Good times, man. Good times.
Yeah. Well, 68 in today's NBA is pretty shit. And
would you score 68 points in a season in the NBA right now?
What?
If you play in the NBA, would you be able to score 68 points in one season?
We're scoring. Well, okay. If I'm assuming that I have the level to play in the NBA.
No. Right now, like what are you doing?
Right now, like me.
Let's say you have Westbrook and he's about to dunk, and instead of dunking, he's got 3 defenders on him and he gives you the ball.
Yeah. Well, I shoot it. That's what I do anyway. Every time I shoot it.
Are you gonna 68 points in 82 games is less than 1 point per game?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah, I would. I would like to play in a team which plays a lot of garbage time, so that I can just
All
go and
right.
like kind of
Well,
the
welcome
Jamal
to
Murray shot.
Phoenix, Samy.
The Jamal Murray shot. That's what I take at the end of the games when no one's watching, and I'll just call the layup.
Otherwise, you have a spot in Phoenix because they play a lot of garbage.
I'm sure I do. Okay, cool. Well, it's been great. It's been a little bit shorter, but I like it. It's fast and short and sweet. I have a usual, I guess, final question to wrap things up and continue. I guess the count of the amazing bet that we have. We don't really have a bet, but it's just who was best at predicting. My question to you to end this podcast is, who is going to get the second most number of votes at the All-Star game this year? So not the first, because I think there's a strong chance that it is LeBron, but maybe not. Who knows? But the second most number of votes in the All-Star game. Go.
I think the first one is going to be Steph Curry, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
he's injured at the moment. He's injured. He's
doesn't
not
matter. I'm gonna say Antetokounmpo.
Giannis second.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Man, sorry for the, it's been quite short today, but did you actually watch the last minute play of Charlotte Milwaukee?
I watched the snippet that you sent me.
Yeah, that one.
That was crazy. Not scoring. I think the worst was Pat Connaughton. Missing a point blank dunk, or like not even a dunk, like just a put back, and like he just has to put the ball in. How did he miss? I don't even understand how he missed.
Because the ball is late. Usually he would dunk. I think in the fourth quarter he went up for the dunk. He had a really good and amazing dunk, but he just the ball slipped off his hands. Yeah. And he couldn't get it.
He's a jumper, right? He can jump.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Aaron Gordon style. Yeah, man. Like, it was interesting. I was okay. I say I don't bring fantasy up, but who was it? The Heat had and Josh Richardson, my man, my most improved player candidate for the year. Had the game-winning shot in his hands with about 3 seconds, where he was completely open to make the 3-point, and he missed with no time on the clock, basically. And like the defense was scrambling. I don't know if you saw that play, but he was all alone for at least
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
2 seconds, and like he took the ball, he posed. It was like, okay, that's an easy shot. I'm going to make it, and I missed it. Damn, man. I was, so disappointed. Anyway, it's been real. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks.
Likewise, man.
Listening.
Likewise.
Thanks everyone for listening to the 4-Point Play, and I'll see you again next week.
We got double mint.
I forgot the commercial that we have every week. No commercials on this pod, man.
No commercial. Okay.
All right. See you next week. Peace.
Peace out, man. Thank you.